Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. My name is Mitchell Morgan and today we're heading back to Europe for another World Circuit race, but one in which I choose the wrong tyres, which gets interesting. But first of all, let me just dive into the race difficulty and make sure that we are on the hard setting that we're using for all of these World Circuit races right now. We were using normal before, but it was getting a bit too easy. We're then going to head across to Deep Forest Raceway and the World Touring Car 700. With regards to the car, I'm going to be using my BMW VGT and I'm using the soft tyres. And as you'll see as we go through the race, that was the wrong decision. Caused me some problems at the end. So go with the mediums. Output adjustment of 95, ballast of 200 and the power restrictor of 94 just to bring the performance points under that 700 that is needed for this race. So this is the World Touring Car 700 at the Deep Forest Raceway. 10 laps. Let's see how we do. So we're starting off. I'm going to push the fuel straight away over to full lean for the moment, just because we want to try and get right the way through this race without stopping. And that was part of my problem with the tyres. The softs went off. As you're going to see at the end, it really does cause me a bit of problem. The lean setting is pretty fine for this particular race. As you can see, I'm already past 2 cars within the first few corners, and you don't really need to worry too much about needing to be on full power. You just need to make sure that you look after your tyres as much as you can, so don't slide the car around too much. Be careful about how you're putting the power down and braking. And you can see there that we've got another car almost overtaken. I have to put it on the grass. 2 cars through that particular corner, and then we need to get on the back of the Porsche Cayman right now for a little bit of slipstream. This is a very long straight, so slipstreaming is key, especially if you are on the lean setting. And at the moment I'm moving around a bit because you've got the Porsche trying to overtake the Mazda, and we're sort of all over the place. Compromise my line into this corner, and there's 2 different ways of taking that line. You can either send it down the right hand side curb, then cut across the apex and get a lot of speed down here, or you can reduce the vortex of doom or vortex of death, whatever it's called, and go from the outside to the apex of the corner with a more acute angle. I tend to prefer the second of the 2 options, but you have got a very long straight down here which you need to bear in mind. So for this lap I'm burying the brake pedal at the beginning of that curb down into 3rd gear. I want to try and run the apex, but I tend to go a little bit wide when I'm running that. Up through the gears, come up to 4th gear and just leave it in 4th through here, feathering the throttle as needed. Down into 3rd before you get to this concrete curb, which you can take lots of. Then 3rd through here, and I tended to like 3rd in the BMW all the way through here, which just worked really nicely. Dropping down to 2nd if you need to get through traffic, but as you saw there, 3rd was fine. And then get the speed up, 4th all the way through there. I got unsettled a little bit overtaking the Honda, but you want to try and straighten that as much as you can. As soon as you see the light grey bit of tarmac before that turn, bury the brake pedal down into 3rd. Again, you can use the runoff, and then you want to be picking up the slipstream off of one of the cars in front as you go down this long straight. For this long straight, we want to keep out to the right hand side, and we're looking for the gantry. Just as we go underneath the gantry, halfway between the gantry and the curb, bury the brake pedal down into 2nd gear for this corner, get it rotated as quick as we can and on the power. And then if there are cars in front of you, again you want to be picking up the slipstream. I was hoping to get past the Subaru in front, so I was trying to pick up a slipstream for the Mitsubishi in front. Didn't quite work. Tucked in behind the Subaru. Now be really careful as you're coming down this straight, because as you get to that curb you will find that the AI cars become very unsettled and they will very often back out quite aggressively with braking, or they just slow down very quickly. So don't get caught behind one of the AI cars as you go through that little section. So going through here, I tended to like 3rd gear. Even when you're overtaking cars, it was quite nice. The computer is saying to choose 2nd. 3rd was fine for the VGT, and it kept the car nicely settled, nicely balanced. Take loads of that green section there, over this curb, get it across to the left, slow it down, and then as soon as you see that light part of the tarmac, as soon as you reach the beginning of that, bury the brake pedal down into third. And then here we don't have the luxury of a car in front to slipstream, so we just got to push as hard as we can. But we have now got full sight of this corner coming up, so looking for the gantry, and as you go under the gantry, hit the brake pedal very, very shortly after that. I then come across to the apex in second gear, just take the apex back on the power as soon as possible. If you are going to do that, just be careful of any cars on the outside. Now, if you are going to be running this track on the sport mode, the real world, against other drivers, you've got to be really, really careful about other cars coming around. And also, you're going to need to be very, very careful about some of the overtakes. I am throwing this up the inside of some of these cars, which you will not get away with if you are online. That was much better for that particular corner there. Managed to get the apex. Watching now for the cars in front and how we might be able to overtake those through this little tricky section. For this one, I can throw it up the inside of the Lexus, carrying a lot more speed through, taking the Genesis as well, and now I've just got to line up on the BMW. If I'm right, I actually connected with the BMW as I went through. It wasn't an overly clean pass because I got the car unsettled. There you go, run into the back. He was coming over as I was going for that part of the track, so you just need to be a tad careful. You will get away with it, the AI. As I said, you won't get away with doing that online. Pick the car that you want to slipstream and just try and stay behind them as much as you can to try and get as much of a tow down the straight. But be minded of where those AI cars are going and how you're going to negotiate them through this corner, because we can actually carry a lot more speed through here than the AI. So as we head down, it was all pretty even Stevens through there. I didn't carry a lot more speed through. We've got 2 in the pits at the moment, so hopefully we'll be able to overtake 2 cars in the pits. There you go, you saw the Supra getting way out of shape and had to back out. Again, don't follow the AI cars through that curve, because you can very quickly end up in problems. Give them space, give them room, and try and do the overtake. Went a little bit deep there, which is giving the Aston Martin an opportunity to come back. We did close the door, and now we can run through this section. So curb there in 4th gear. I've just dropped it down to 3rd a little bit early, up in the 4th, down into 3rd. You really want to be 3rd as you go over that bit of concrete. 3rd all the way through here, using all of the track. If you're running online, you will get, as in the sport mode, you'll get penalties for cutting these corners in the way that I am in this particular race. However, for the World Circuit races, you don't get any penalties like that. So just use all of the curbs. Again, that one, you just want to try and apex that as you go through, which means you will then be able to get power down a lot earlier. So just running down this back straight, long back straight. We're in 2nd place at the moment. Portilla, I don't know what he's in. He must be in a rocket ship because he is miles ahead of us. Braking as you go underneath the barrier, looking for the apex. Pick that up, 2nd gear, get it rotated, up into 3rd as quick as we can. We don't need to worry about cars this time, so we can take the right-hand side curb there. Follow the white line through there, but don't follow it into the pits. Pick up this apex, let it run out to the right hand side, and then that set us up nicely for the last corner. And we've got a gaggle of cars that are now pitting, which have promoted us up into 1st place. Braking at the beginning of the curb for turn 1, gone a little bit deep again. We can use all of the curb on the outside if you really need to be pushing it, get right out onto the green stuff. But right now, I am 10 seconds ahead of the 2nd place runner. So whilst I don't want to back off too much and invite a mistake by racing differently than we are used to, I don't need to take the big chances that we have been taking throughout this race. We can pretty much settle down now and just take it easy. So watching for the beginning of that light grey part, bury the brake pedal, try and pick up the apex, missed it again. Can use lots of the curb on the exit there, and then a straight run down here to the hairpin. Really nicely balanced, this car. This is a nice setup. But if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said go with medium tyres and not the softs. The softs are obviously the faster tyre, but just look at the wear on our right front tyre right now. The left-hand side tyres are reasonably okay, and you can see I'm now shifting the brake balance to the rear to try and just take some of the pressure off of that front tyre. Unfortunately, even with the brake balance pushed to the rear, that front tyre just wears. It's extremely hard, this track, on the near side front tyre. It really, really is. And it didn't matter what I did, by adjusting my speed, trying to turn in more smoothly, drive more smoothly, and really look after that tyre, you're going to see that tyre disappear very, very quickly right now. And thankfully, it doesn't really upset the car too much. Running in third through these corners, you can see I'm still carrying a fair amount of time. My times for this, if you look at 136, 133, 135, a 133 and a 133 and a 134. So you can see that I was getting quicker and quicker as the fuel came down. However, right now I'm just backing off just ever so slightly. We've moved it out by about a second and a half, just trying to manage the tyres at this stage. If you were running on medium tyres, you're almost definitely not going to need to worry about the tyres, and you can just keep pushing. Even though we've backed off, we are 14 seconds ahead of McEwen in the second place, and just running really nicely. We're out front, no dramas, no worries. Just pick up that white line, make sure you don't go into the pit, picking up the apex here, letting it drift out, using all of the exit there on this occasion. Watching for the beginning of the curbs here, bury the brake pedal, just a little bit of trail braking as we get into the apex. That was nicely done, using the exit of the curb. So as I've actually relaxed a bit here and I've got more used to this car at this track, you can see that I'm actually taking much better lines. And although I've backed off to try and look after that tyre a little bit, the times haven't dropped off that much, so we're still a 134.6 for the last lap. But just take a look at that tyre wear. The near side tyres, the left hand side tyres are absolutely fine. The right rear is okay, but that front right is dead. And you can see now as I'm going into some of these corners on lap 8 that I do not have the braking efficiency when I'm braking and turning right. There is just no grip at all on that right hand front tyre. So as we come into the hairpin for the last time, braking, turning, just take a little bit more life out of that tyre yet again. I cannot stress enough that at this point I am driving more conservatively than I really need to be. If I'd chosen the racing medium tyres, then I would really have been able to push on and win by a much bigger margin. I think I'd have been able to manage the 134s, 133s, maybe even a 132, but at this stage we're really pushing it out to 134.6. We've done 3 134.6s in a row, showing that my consistency is getting better in these races, and also showing that when I'm managing tyres and I'm in clean air, that consistency can come, which is good. I've just got to go a little bit faster now. Lots of people pitting, but we're 18 seconds ahead of the car in front. Again, watch for the beginning of this light grey part. Just use the curb on the outside, use the curb on the inside, and curb on the outside, using all of the track. That's really nicely done on that particular occasion. Really, really pleased with that. And in fact, even though the tyre now, my front right tyre is completely red, it's completely shot, I was really pleased with the way that I closed out this race. A country mile ahead of the rest of the field. 23 seconds behind now. Portilla in second place. Absolutely no worries. This one is in the bag so long as we keep it in a straight line and pointing in the right direction. And so you can see this BMW VGT really nicely planted around here. Got carried away, even thought that that was the last lap. One more to go on last. But yeah, the BMW VGT really nicely planted around here. Gone a little bit deep there on the marbles. The setup was great with the exception of the tyre choice, which I did get wrong. I did get away with it. You would possibly get away with it if you were to be a little bit more conservative with the tyres throughout the race. I was pushing them quite hard initially, but if you are hard on your tyres, then definitely go with the mediums, and I don't think we're going to have any worries whatsoever at bringing this car home in first place on this hard difficulty setting. So we come around the corner to do the long straights for the last time. You can see we just picked up a tail ender. Whether we will catch up with that tail ender or not, who knows. The fuel at the moment is fine. We got 0.9. Haven't spoken about fuel too much. Just put it on 6 lean, leave it there, really don't worry about it. I tend to drive with a little bit of fuel saving, so I've been upshifting halfway up the rev band, but for the VGT cars, they really do not mind you upshifting early, so a little bit of fuel saving throughout the race, and we come across the line with half a lap to spare. So yeah, I didn't talk about fuel, but just make sure that you're upshifting early to make that fuel last as long as possible, and then you're going to get a really nice easy win for the World Touring Car 700. We were 23 seconds ahead of Portilla in the Viper in the end. Gold trophy, 110,000 credits, probably the easiest 110,000 credits you're likely to earn. And that's this one done. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have found it useful and you like it, please hit that like button because it really does help the channel no end. If you are new around here, please consider hitting the subscribe button for more videos of this type. I am documenting all of the world circuit races, and then very soon we're going to be going online with live streaming the daily races, and so hit the bell button for notifications of those videos when they come up. And if you are a current subscriber, thank you ever so much for continuing to support my channel. It's greatly appreciated. For now, I will see you on another video coming very soon. Take care. Bye bye.